कुछ होने में और बहुत कुछ होने में इतना सा फर्क है, एक बार सोच के छोड़ देने में और लग के कर दिखाने में। मान लेने में कि जिंदगी ऐसे ही कटेगी और सुबह 4 बजे उठ के सोचने में ये अभी तो बस शुरुआत है। किसी मैगजीन को हाथ में लेने में और उसी मैगजीन के कवर पेज पे होने में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वीआईपी सीट में और उसकी पिछली सीट में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वो जिसका मैदान ही खुला आसमान है, वही कल जमीन पर तो था। पूछोगे तो बताएगा वो पंछी, ये एक दायरे में सिमटने में और पूरी दुनिया को दायरा बनाने में बस इतना सा फर्क है। इतना कितना है? इतना है या इतना है? जो नापेगा वो जाने कि जहां धरती और आसमान मिलते हैं, नानकुर से दूर, अगर मगर शायद से दूर, वहां भी दोनों में फर्क बस इतना सा है। धरती और 7वें आसमान में फर्क बस इतना सा है। ये एक अंतर प्रेरणा है। ये हमारी, आपकी, हम सब की अंतर प्रेरणा है। एक कदम, एक छलांग, एक बाजी, एक गहरी सांस और एक ललकार खुली हवाओं में कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन फिजाओं के लिए, कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन ऊंचाइयों के लिए जो ऊंची तो बहुत हैं पर नामुमकिन ही नहीं, क्योंकि मुमकिन और नामुमकिन में बस इतना सा फर्क है। धूप छांव में फर्क बस इतना सा है। तो बस चलिए फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया के साथ ये फर्क मिटा देते हैं। फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया, 20 years of ideas.
Good afternoon, friends, and welcome to special edition on Sunday. This is edition which we are running a series called Successpreneur. It's just not becoming an entrepreneur, and you need to become a successful entrepreneur. This session is really started to really help entrepreneurs who want to start a new business, or people who are looking to start their next venture, how we can help them in terms of guiding them through what steps they need to do to run a successful business. So we've done many series in past. Today, what we're going to cover is not only just covering a little bit part of my past series in terms of helping you to understand how you choose the right business, what you should look at when you're looking at a business, how you should prepare yourself running a successful business. But today I'm going to talk about a very, very special, important aspect, which is the legal issues. Because when most of our entrepreneurs who come to us and they're looking to start a franchise, they ignore the importance of legal contract. So today I'm going to talk in depth about when you're looking just to acquire a business or a franchise, and then you're getting into a contract, what you're going to cover that. So we make it very interactive. So use the Q&A box to ask as many questions you have. So more questions you ask, more I'll be able to clarify. So before we start, I'll give you a little introduction about Franchise India and myself. I'm chairman of Franchise India Group. Franchise India Group was started in 1999. We started with solving one problem which I was suffering from, because I was facing a big issue when I was choosing a business. There was no resource available. There was no publication, there was no exhibition, there was no consultants, nothing was there. And as an entrepreneur, if I was looking to start a business, I had no platform available. That problem Franchise India wanted to solve. And this is what we have been committed to in last 24 years, that we help people start their business. So Franchise India was started with the one basic thought that we want to be India's first platform which can help people to choose the right business. And over the years, in last 24 years, millions of people have benefited from Franchise India. They have come to our shows, they've read our magazines, they have seen our digital presence, and many other platforms. We have actually encouraged them to start their business. But over the years, I've also found that a lot of people did mistake in choosing the wrong business, or they were not ready for that business, or the business was not fit for them. So we started these series to really go out and continue to engage and educate our investors, so that when they take a decision to start a business, they do the right one. And most of the times, I feel that the entrepreneurs, in the rush of just starting a business, did a mistake of choosing something which doesn't fit their goals. So let's start with, when you are looking to start a business, the first thing which you need to do is set your mindset. A mindset is very important. Are you ready for becoming an entrepreneur? Entrepreneur journey is not easy one. It is not. It's very rewarding. We all see successful entrepreneurs, and but we don't really look at what kind of hardship they have come from. Entrepreneur journey is a tough one. That's why I always say in my webinars and seminars that as humans, we don't want to work for anybody. So we want to be free. We want to do our own thing. That's what entrepreneurship is. But if you want to become an entrepreneur, you have to leave all the comfort. You have to leave all the comfort. And I see today at Franchise India, about 40% of people who are coming to us are first-time business buyers. They have never done business in life. They want to do it. Some people leave their comfort job. Some are coming with their investment from their family, or friends, or borrowing something. So they take a lot of risk when they come to start a business. And it is never easy. It's never easy. If you are starting a business, it takes many months or sometimes years before you can do a meaningful structure on that. So unless and until your mindset is ready, you will never be able to do that. I've seen people who start a business and 3, 4, 5 months, they close it. And if I reach out to them and say, why you closed the business in 5 months? Because their expectation for that business was so high and they got disappointed in so early in their journey. So some people are raising hands. So if you have any question, please use the Q&A box and ask in the Q&A box. I'll pick it up. So it's very important that you set your mindset. And mindset comes first with your life goals. What are your life goals that you have to clearly define? And you have to be damn honest about it to yourself. What is your life goal? Which stage you are in? What are the important events coming in your life and your family? So you might have something coming very important 4 years where you need a lot of money. How are you going to withdraw that money from your business? Is your business going to be ready to give you that money in 4 years? So a lot of people dream about businesses, right? Dream around businesses and what they want to achieve on that. Some would have dreams for what they want to do with their family. They have some life goals. They want to buy some property. They want to invest somewhere, or things like that. Or you want to fund your children's education or their marriage, things like that. And what are these events and when are they going to happen? And is the business which you're choosing going to deliver those milestones in the time you want to do that? That's very, very important. That brings to me the rule I always advise young entrepreneurs, especially. This rule is called WWHWW. So first start with a why. The first W stands for why. Why are you doing this? What is the larger purpose of you to become an entrepreneur? What problem you want to solve? And especially these days, a lot of startups come in. I tell them that what problem you're solving. What are you trying to do different here? Right? What others have not done it. Why people would come to you than anybody else. So that's something very important. So start with a why. That's very important. Second W stands for who you need. Are you doing this journey alone? Or what kind of resources you would need? Do you have those resources available? It can be somebody coming along with you. Some people are not good going alone. They need to get maybe a co-founder with them because they have some strengths, but they have some weaknesses and they need somebody. Like I met a young entrepreneur in Bombay and he told me that I can handle operations very well, but I'm very poor in getting sales done. I'm very, very poor. And any business I started, which needed me to really bring customers in and things like that, I failed. So I need to have maybe business which I can operationally just manage. And I'm good at it. So he was honest. He was honest about what he's good at it. So maybe running a OEM kind of a business where he's producing for somebody, but he doesn't have to take a responsibility of sales and marketing of that business might fit him. Or maybe he brings in a co-founder who is good at this. So you need to really know who you need when you're getting into the business. Now the H stands for how you're going to execute it. This is the most critical part. We can build dreams, but if we don't know what is a path to execution, we will never get there. And finally, the next two W's are, what is the outcome you want? What is the outcome you expect? And when you expect that? That's also very, very important. And when is the timelines which needs to be done? So this is what the rule of the business is. So why start with the why, understand who you need, how you're going to execute it, what is the outcome you want, and when is the timeline. So these are important aspects when you are starting your business. It's a very, very important aspect. Now let's understand when you want to get into business, what are the 8 steps you need to follow? First, how do you make the right choice? What industry you want to get into? That's the first part. Before you even jump on choosing the brand or signing with somebody, A lot of time people get attracted towards a particular opportunity. Like in the morning, I was doing training with my new team, and I was telling them, when you start, you're selling, maybe one person in my team was representing a pharmacy business. And I said, before you even start selling the brand, educate people on pharmacy. Because sometimes they don't know. They're just reading and getting into return on investment, what they're putting and what they can hope to get out of that. But they have no idea about how this business is changing, what is happening in pharmacy. Pharmacy is going from a disruption, direct to home, direct to patient kind of a business is becoming a very, very big opportunity. And conventional pharmacies might not survive if they're not technologically enabled. So you need to really educate what is coming in that industry, and every investor has to educate himself in terms of, before you make a decision to choose the right industry. So I connect the 4 dots. First, choose the right industry. Very, very important. Why you're choosing industry? What are the growth path you see in the industry? What is the kind of competition you see in the industry? Who are the leaders in the industry? And then only you decide on that. That's first part. The second is choose the brand. Why out of these industry, which brands you think are best to partner with? Never go alone. Always choose the right brand to partner with. Third is, what is your goals? What are you looking, and is it matching with the industry and the brand you've chosen? And the fourth dot is the location, where you micro location you're going to start the business. So this is the first part. How do you choose? Never rush in this. Give your 4 to 5 weeks before you really narrow down and say, these are the 4 or 5 brands you want to really partner with. Then second step comes in, how are you going to fund this business? This is again a very, very serious issue. Almost 70% of all entrepreneurs who fail because they were undercapitalized. They were undercapitalized. A shocking number. This is a number which normally people don't talk about it. They talk about because you were not focused, you didn't have the right team, I didn't do the marketing. All that they talk about, but they don't honestly talk about that they were undercapitalized. Businesses fail if they're undercapitalized. So never take up a problem in choosing a business, smaller business, which you can adequately capitalize. And don't take too much of borrowing. Don't take too much of borrowing. That doesn't work. So you need to be very, very clear that so you need to be very clear about how you're going to fund the business, and don't take too much of debt in your business. It's not advisable that you take too much of debt in your business. And even if you want to do that, keep your equity debt ratio right, and also be very certain that how you're going to pay off the debt. So it's very important. Sometimes people start with a lot of burden on the business of the kind of cost of capital they have already borrowed, and they have to really go out and do that. And then they start putting some good money behind bad money, and then the business gets into negative cash flow cycles, and you run out of your inventories. You're not able to support your expansion. You are running out of your marketing budget. All that starts creating problems. And while we don't understand, the real problem was that you never had the capital at the first stage. So if a lot of people come to me and say, I want to invest 50 lakhs, and say, where are you getting these 50 lakhs from? They would say, I have 30 lakhs of my own, 10 I'm borrowing, 10 I'll see how I can manage. But I say, why you want to do that 50 lakhs? Why would you not start with something maybe 20? And you have still 10 lakh rupees lying in your bank, which gives you comfort that you can take over and die. But sometimes people have, especially youngsters, have a lot of peer-to-peer pressure. They want to really show the world. Nobody is really happy about what you're doing. Really, honestly, outside your family, nobody is really happy. Deepak, if their problem is at your end, so can you hear me well? I think somebody is saying that
yes,
he can hear.
Yes.
Okay, so Deepak, its problem is at your end, so you're not able to hear. So you need to check your speaker. So it's very important, and define how you're going to fund your business. Third, where are you going to house your business? What kind of infrastructure which is required for your business? This is very, very important to really define that. Never do mistake, never overindulge. Like I was talking to a big retailer yesterday, and he said some of our stores in Andhra, we are doing bigger stores. I said, you need bigger stores? No, so he says, because the properties are bigger, so we have to choose this. These are mistakes. These are business of convenience. You change formats, you create different structures. I see people do unreasonable size of businesses where they load the business so much, and that should not be done. What is right for the business should be done. Never overindulge, understand what is required, and just do that. Businesses needs that performance. Don't overindulge in your own business. Then you need to also define the cycles of your business. That's very important. The first cycle is incubation. And this is where the maximum mistake happens. When you start a business, in the first 3 to 4, 5 months, people indulge too much. They are doing over marketing, they're doing a lot of spend in their business and so on and so forth. And that's all wrong, because you have not learned your own business. Rather, I call, there are 4 things which every entrepreneur should do. I call the DATE, DATE. DATE, for an entrepreneur, D stands for discipline. Entrepreneur has to be extremely disciplined, more than anybody else, because if you're not disciplined, nobody is going to follow you. That's very, very important. Second, A stands for accountability. You need to be accountable for things. T stands for training. You need to be strongly training yourself. And fourth, nobody is outside going to come and encourage you. You have to encourage yourself every single day. So if you are becoming an entrepreneur, you need to fix this date. This is very, very important. And that's what really happens in the first time cycle when you're starting the business. You're incubating your business. You have no knowledge. You need to put yourself in different departments, learn every single aspect, and then get on to the stage 2, where you start stabilizing your business. Stage 3, where you start really growing the business. And stage 4, when you have made the business sustainable. Now the business can run even without you. That's the cycle, very, very important. So you cannot run into sustainability. No business goes into unless and until you've done these 3 first cycles. First cycle is very important. I like these American companies, which I had fortune to work with. I mean, I've gone to McDonald's, I've gone to Subway. They really train entrepreneurs. They train them on every smallest aspect of the business. And then only they will grant franchise. Otherwise, they don't give franchise. In India, I keep educating a lot of franchise brands and say, you need to invest on training. If you're not investing on training, you're not really making smart entrepreneurs who know what to do right. Just buying a franchise for a brand or taking a franchise from a brand is not going to make you right. Fifth point is how you build your team. That's very important. When you're starting an entrepreneurial journey, you need to find your co-founders. And these are not people who are only shareholders in your business. These are people who are going to stand by you, who are going to be working with you. Smart entrepreneurs always try to get the best team along with them, and sometimes even smarter people than them. This is a mistake entrepreneurs do, because some entrepreneurs, because they feel that they are the smartest. The good entrepreneurs know that they are even more smarter people out there. They are how you're going to get them on board, and that's your structure. Now, another thing which is very important, once you have successfully done something, this is another mistake some entrepreneurs do. If they are successful in it, they go into another path now. They want to diversify. They want to look at a different opportunity. I know a lot of people who are very creative and they keep making new opportunities, but I'm not a big fan of that. I am a big fan of, if you build something successful, replicate it, reproduce your own success, because now you already know how to do that and reproduce the success. I know a lot of entrepreneurs friends in US who started with one successful franchise, and then they multiplied the same franchise over and over. And this is how they became multi-unit franchise owners, or they became large area owners, and so on and so forth. So if you have something very successful, just reproduce your success. Don't try to be creative every time. You're not going to be lucky every time. There are some serial entrepreneurs who are able to do that. But I feel that whenever it comes in successfully, you need to scale that. It's like Sunil Mittal got Airtel started in 94, and he knew that this is a great idea we have got. And over the time, he's built Bharti, which is very, very successful. There would be a lot of ideas which have come to Sunil Mittal, because he was a rich man and every day he would probably get a new opportunity. But he would not take every opportunity, while he scaled Airtel as an iconic brand and an iconic telecom company. So you have to really see that anything which now becomes good for you, how you can really scale to a large business. And sometimes small business is a mindset. They keep duplicating smaller businesses, but they don't scale one business to a logical size, and so on and so forth. And hence you don't build value. That's where it really comes in. So if you're not building something which is very scalable, you will never build value. And if you're not able to build value, you will never be able to find a right kind of exit. Before we go on to the legal part of it, let's understand the risk you carry. Every business has a risk. There is no risk-free business. A lot of people write to me and say, I need to have a business which have no risk. There is no business. Active businesses would always have risk. Even passive investments have risk. Even you put sometimes money into property, it has a risk. But active businesses would come with a risk. And that's how they give you that higher return. Otherwise, the lower the return, the lower the risk, which means that you put money in the FD, most likely your money is safe, but you are going to get only 5-6% on interest on that. But if you want 25, 30, 40% return on your capital, you have to take that risk. Risk also further would be divided into two parts. One is internal risk. Internal risk can be financial risk, marketing risk, operational risk, and your resource risk. You can lose your best team member or things like that. What is the risk you're carrying? You need to clearly define that. External risks are also about, your any kind of like COVID going on, pandemic happening, and things of that nature. That also is a risk. So now let's get into the 20 points which you need to always see when you are looking to start a franchise. Particularly, what are the 20 points you need to cover in your legal agreement? That's very important. The first point which you need to cover is to understand that is the company which you're taking on as a franchise has registered their trademarks, and the intellectual property they are actually franchising to you is being secured by them. I see a lot of brands out there which are franchising have not even proprietary trademarks, and their intellectual property is not even registered with them. So which means that it's technically wrong. I'm giving you franchise for my brand, but I have not even secured my brand. And I can tell you a lot of names on that, but they have entire thing. And sometimes the brand is shared. There are a lot of brands, like there is a brand called Nathu, a very popular sweet company, but there are 5 different brothers, all are selling same Nathu. So how do you protect yourself? Today, I open up a Nathu in a particular market. Another brother gives another franchise next door. So how do I protect my business model? So it's very important that you really understand the trade mark. Second is sport and training. That's extremely important. We are taking a franchise for somebody, what kind of sport and training they're going to provide you. And most of the times we get entrepreneurs coming to us and saying, can you help us negotiating the franchise fees? Can you help us negotiating the royalties? I say royalties directly proportional to the sport. When you are negotiating the royalties, you are technically saying you're negotiating the sport. So never worry about the franchise fees and royalty. That's actually a very small part of the business. The real part is this training and sport. And what is it going to cost you? Say you start with a good training, and your team is now, again, you lost the team in 3 months and you need retraining. Is it going to come on a cost? What kind of cost is involved? Is it only travel? Is it only logistics? Or there is a charges of training also? Who's going to train you? What are you training on? So all that are very important aspects of your business. How are you going to be capturing that in your agreement? Never ignore that. Sometimes the line says adequate training would be provided time to time by a franchisor. It says nothing. It means nothing. You don't define any man hours. You have not put even that 7-day training would be there. Periodical trainings would be there. On-site training would be there. Or head office training would be there. All these are always missed. And the line just would say adequate training would be provided by the franchisee. This is something which is very, very serious. And this is a big problem in Indian franchise industry. A lot of time, both sides, both the franchisee and the franchisee, ignore this aspect. Third is advertising. This also is very loosely covered in the agreement. It says the brand owner would be, franchisor would always do the right kind of a marketing and support the franchisee. Again, it says nothing. How much marketing, what kind of cost, how much percentage of sales volume would be spent on marketing, who handles national marketing, who handles social media, who handles local store marketing. If all this is not initially defined, it's potentially going to create some kind of a dispute later. Even if you know that there is no marketing, you at least know about it. So this is very, very important for you to capture in your entire. Fourth is the term of the contract. And especially if you're taking a unit franchise or you're taking an area franchise or a master franchise. Master franchise normally are 10 plus 10 plus 10 kind of a year cycles, because they are large country rights. Area franchisee can also be 5 plus 5 year contracts, and unit franchise normally is about 5-year contract. And I've seen contracts which are 3 years. Actually, somebody approached me, wanted me to mediate with a company. He signed a contract for 1 year. Now, how can you even make a contract for 1 year with, obviously there was a renewal, but it is a risk. It is a risk because you are going on and signing a property which you are signing for 3 plus 3 year plus 3 year and putting a lock-in of 3 years, and your franchise is only for 1 year. It makes no sense. And you will never be able to recover any money in the first year, right? So why you have to get into that business? So this is areas which are always forgotten. A lot of people say, oh, this is just for writing. Once we shake hand, we always honor. It's my only word, which I work on that. These are all rubbish. I have seen that contract is the most important part. Even if you're doing with somebody you know so well, then also you need to be hard to discuss the contract, because sooner or later this would come out, and then you will have disputes. A lot of disputes I saw in this whole COVID period, and I know there are times both sides were unreasonable. The franchisor were unreasonable, and the franchisees were also very unreasonable, because the definition in the contract was not there. Territory, another area, which is the fifth point, also very, very important. How you define territory, what is a territory allocated to you, that's also very, very important. Another point is fees and margins. How is the future fees going to come in? Is there any kind of other fees which needs to be coming in, or how you want to be protecting your margins? Today you're starting with this margin, but tomorrow there is a big pressure in the market. There is a lot of discounting happening, like what happened on retail franchisees when e-commerce happened. They were getting margin of from electronic companies 15, 16, 17% margins. All the franchisees for all the major OEMs. You are a franchisee for Samsung, you're a franchisee for Sony, and suddenly e-commerce started working with 15% discount, and you have margin which is 15%, and they're running 15% discount. How you ever compete? So this protection was never there. How you protect on different channels your business. So if I'm taking a franchise today, I tell the franchisor and say, look, I need to get protection from all channels. I should not find that you are using another channel, which means that you're using online business and selling much cheaper than that, the same product. So nobody is going to come to me. So how you do the margin protection, how you define all those things in the agreement are very, very important. Site selection. Who's going to do the site selection? Is the franchisor going to assist you, or are you going to do that? And if you do that, how is the approval process going to come in? I always insist that there has to be participation from a franchisor to support you in this, because they know where it is going to work. And a lot of times entrepreneurs in the rush of doing business do mistakes. I've seen people done businesses which have no sense. There was an entrepreneur who took a great restaurant, but he opened up on the second floor with one lift. You cannot feed, you cannot have 200 people going up and 200 people coming out on the single small lift which needs to be done. You are bound to fail. So selection of a site is extremely, extremely important, and this needs participation from a franchisor. Eighth is termination. What are the termination definition in the business? Every contract has termination, but what is the definition of that entire thing? Another thing which is very important is obligation on termination, which means that once you terminated, what happens to stock which you have? Do you going to get some period, or you want to terminate the contract? What happens after that? So obligation post termination also has to be very, very clearly defined. Is the company going to take back the stock? How it is going to be defined? That's also very important. 10th clause is non-compete. Good franchises always push that clause. They push that clause because they don't want to compete, put a competing brand in that. But you have to ask yourself tomorrow, if you have that property of your own, you would like to agree on non-compete, or after leaving you want to do something like that. And these are all becoming very serious. Earlier it was ignored. Who goes to court? Let's see, entire thing. People used to change the names. Now judgments come very fast, and harsh judgments come. So you have to be very, very careful. Sometimes a franchisor would also get your personal guarantees and I think, and now personal guarantees can be revoked. So which means that they can come after you to recover all the money which you have. Even your personal assets can be put to risk if you are signing this personal guarantee. So very important point in personal guarantees, avoid a personal guarantee contract in the contract. It's very, very important. No contract should be done where you are casually signing a personal guarantee. Earlier it was not there, because now the Supreme Court has put a big guideline that personal guarantees can be revoked. So these are becoming very, very serious issues. First right of refusal. Say you are taking a brand and you are the first one to bring this brand to Bhubaneswar. And you're excited, you're working very hard, you build the brand in Bhubaneswar, and then what happens? You find somebody else, because you build the brand and somebody else also come in. So if you're a smart entrepreneur and you're taking a new brand to a new market, you'll always put a first right of refusal. You'll say, okay, if the next outlet has to be opened, I will open up that you have to give me first right. So that way you can protect the territory, because you build the territory. So it's very important that you keep that clause. Arbitration, also very important. Is it going to be mutual, or who's going to decide? Is the franchisor going to decide, an arbitrator? So that's also judiciary. Again, very important part where you want to keep. Most of the times, the franchisor would keep their own city. That's more logical because they are signing many contracts. So they would like to keep entire thing. But if you can negotiate, place of judiciary as a convenience, but for both sides, it can be in place. Insurance, 13th point, insurance is also very important. Is the definition of insurance in the contract or not there? That's also very important. You need to also see what it says. A lot of franchise contracts would say the franchisor can do anytime check on records and audits. Now, what it defines and what happens if there is deviation? What happens if your records was not in order? Is it going to be a cure, which means that they would give you notice to cure that you can improve, or it is calls for termination? If I was negotiating for you, I will always say there should be a notice for cure, which means even if your records were not good or something was not happening, you should be given a cure notice, maybe 45 days to set this up back. And if you are set it up entire thing, then you're fine with the entire thing. But if it was immediate termination, you were deviated by 10% and you got terminated, that is a big risk. That is a big risk of your business. So you need to negotiate your contract in that sense. Renewal, very, very important aspect. You build the business, it build now, it's doing well, and it is your term is coming end, and you had on a good faith thought that it will be renewed, but it was not captured in your contract. Now the franchisor tells you you have to pay another franchise fees full amount. Now that was something we never expected. Or they come and say you have to renovate the entire place, which means do another round of full investment. So these are very important aspects for you to really understand that how you keep the renewal clause. What are the terms attached to renewal? Another area which is becoming very important, because Franchise India runs a resale company also. So we get a lot of people who want to sell their running franchise. When I look at their contract, there is no definition of that you cannot sell your own business. If it is not defined, you will have to go back to the franchisor and take his approval. And sometimes they don't want to give you. They don't want to give you, or they want to have another round of fees. They become greedy and say, you cannot sell your business. Or you're selling a business for value. Say, I started a franchise, I built it up, it's now very, very profitable. I want to sell it for a premium. And this happens everywhere. If you build a very successful business, it's very profitable, you can get 3x of what you invested, 4x of what you invested, 5x of what you invested. If you have opportunity to make 5x, the franchisor would now become greedy and says, I want a share out of that because you're getting a big valuation. But truth is, if you would have defined that in the contract and said, you're ready to pay a small transfer fee, which may be 25% of the franchise fees which you paid, and you can sell the business to anybody else you want to, you can take all that money and pay this transfer fee, which is defined in the contract. So encourage having a transfer fee agreed upon in the initial days. Don't keep it on mutual discussion, because then it can become a problem to take an approval. Now let's understand another point, which is the 17th point, which is force majeure. Now, what happened in these days? COVID happened, lockdown happened, 3 months you're not working, or something happened in your territory, you need to relocate from one location to another location. In this period, what happens to your period term? Is it going to be lost? One is your period term, you have 5-year contract and 5 months you were not working. What happens on those 5 months? Is it going to be extended? Can you pause for the contract? And what happens to the fees, which is ongoing fees? Would you have to give it continuously, or this would also stop? So these are very important aspects to define. Sometimes businesses don't run in a particular place. You need to shift the location. In that 3 months, you're already making investment on shifting, and you have to still pay a lot of money. 18th point is reinvestment. Reinvestment is also very important. What kind of reinvestment business you want? Is there a kind of improvement or any kind of branding guidelines would come suddenly and say, change the signage and change this entire thing? Who's going to take that cost? That's also very important, because companies keep evolving, and over the time they would like to put something. Maybe they brought in a technology tool and they now want you to pay every month for that technology, or they brought something else, or they want to add some machinery. All that is reinvestment. How those reinvestments are predicted, and who's going to take that cost of that. Finally, the 19th point is that, say a franchisor himself, the brand owner himself, got into bankruptcy. It's bankrupt. What happens to you? Where do you go? Like Yo China was a chain, and Yo China went into bankruptcy. What happened to their franchises? How are they going to sustain? Is there a provision being defined on that? Or the company goes out and sell the business to somebody else. What happens to then the franchise? Like, for example, I was actually helping a Malaysian company to enter India. We got them in India. And suddenly this Malaysian company sold their business to a Chinese company. Now, the Chinese company didn't want to do work in India because of obvious reasons. And so they didn't want to work. So what happens to the Indian operations? What would happen? Because it was small operations, but this Malaysian company is already sold to Chinese company. So these are very important aspects. What happened to that business thereafter if there is some problem in the parent brand itself? Brand itself has gone. And what happens to your business? Would you get some protection? Would you be able to manage independently? And so on and so forth. The last point, which is the most critical point, your legal agreement, every legal agreement you pick up would say, franchisor will say, you will always follow my guidelines. You will always follow my processes. You will always follow my structure. The question is, where is the process being given to you? Most of the franchisors don't have even operating manual. So the question really is, if you don't give me a manual, you don't train me on the processes, how do you want me to follow those processes? So you have a right, absolutely right, as a franchisee to go and ask for an operating manual and training on that operating manual. Insist every single franchisor and say, give me operating manual, give me a training manual, then you can put me accountable that I have to follow that manual. Otherwise, you are not even trained. So how can you even define what was right and what was wrong? This is one of the big mistakes every single franchisee does. They don't ask for that. So rather than just negotiating on the franchise fees and royalties, negotiate on these 20 points which I mentioned. If you need us to list down these points for you for a reference, we can send you a PDF on that. So that for that, you need to reach out to us. So friends, this was today's session of Successpreneur. We every time take up a one particular topic. This time I wanted to clarify on legal. So I have one question quickly for everyone to just go in the Q&A box and introduce. So if you are a professional now looking to get into business, write P. If you're a professional, you're running you're doing some job and you're looking to do that, write P. And if you are a business owner already and wants to diversify and look at a new business, write B. And if you are somebody who's in career change, which means that you not at this moment engage and you want to look at a fresh business to start from, write C. Three choices, P, B, and C. So I see Satya Prasad is P. So a lot of professionals. That's why I do this webinar, because a lot of professionals come. Shrikant is a P. Nitesh is a C. So he's looking for a change. Harsh is a P. Arun is a P. So there are a lot of P's, so this is what I wanted to understand, because a lot of professionals who are now looking to jump into an entrepreneurial journey, they need to be extremely careful because this is the first time for them to become an entrepreneur. Kushma Devi is C. Paul is a B. So he's a business owner already. So business owners are fine because they understand how to run a business. Another thing which tell me is another question, quick question, is that how many of you are looking to start your own new business in next 60 to 90 days? You've made your firm mind and your mindset is right. Let me see who has the answer. A lot of C's also. Vicky, Danny are C. So give me a quick answer. Let's see how many of you are ready mentally to start your own business in next 60 to 90 days. Nitesh is the one who jumped in first. So it clearly shows his mindset that he's done. Harsh Kapoor also wants to do in 90 days. That's great, Harsh. Good to have you. Others also quickly tell me how many. If you have another time frame, you want to do it in 1 year, you want to do in 6 months, you have not thought about it. Anything which comes to your mind, just share. So let's understand where your mindset is coming. And then we'll take one more part of the question, and then I can close today's session. So a lot of people, Paul says yes. Rajat says 1 year, 90 days will be less. Absolutely. There's no rush. You should be in rush, but not in rush. Always investigate enough before you invest. And as I said, remember, you need to be mentally ready to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur journey is not easy one. But when you are getting into entrepreneurship, let me ask this question again. What is your expectation of return on investment? Because we all keep talking about ROI, what is a good ROI? And I mean, what is your expectation on ROI? Anybody can give me an answer. What do you expect from a business? What kind of return on investment do you expect? Satyaprakash, I'm joining an MNC to start up. Joining from an MNC to startup, operational head to lean and learning. Absolutely. Anytime you can reach me and anything which I can help. This webinar I started on Sunday when I work 365 days. So I have, nothing else to do. Even if I have a holiday, I have nothing much to do. So I thought I will dedicate my Sunday for young entrepreneurs who are now looking to start a business. And if I can help them, guide them, even take them out from a confused state or the fears they have because they come with a lot of uncertainty. If I can help them in doing that, that would be a good purpose, both for Franchise India and for me personally. So anytime, Satya Prasad, if I can help you in any answers, anything which you want, anytime you want to even discuss confidentially any contracts you're negotiating and you want my viewpoint on that, and I'll give you honest viewpoint on what you should do, what you should not, and without any fee to be paid to me or anything else, because I just want to do this as a value addition to the community I've built. I've built a very large community of entrepreneurs, brand owners. So I want to really give back to the community. So whenever you're looking to start a business, always think about these four things. First is your mindset. Second, what are the resources need to be committed? Third, draw your business plan and financial plan. And fourth, what is your team or future team required? So these are four combinations which would create a successful journey which you can build for your entrepreneurial journey. So that's very, very important. And when you are starting a business, always think about what return on investment is must for you. But more importantly, how you're going to build value. I'm not a big fan of creating income. Income is very short-lived. It's like doing a job. You get income, but you don't build value. So entrepreneurship should always be done to build value. So which means what is your short-term and long-term plan, and how do you bring stakeholder values, and how do you solve the bigger problem? Because great businesses are always built on problem solving. What problem you're solving of this world, and more the bigger the problem you solve, bigger the opportunity will be. So if you solve the problem of this pollution and everything else, you become Tesla. And if you become Tesla, you are the most valuable company. So today's time, value is following what the bigger the problem you're solving. So if you're solving any big problem, think of always about that, the bigger your opportunity would be. So friends, enjoy your Sunday. Thank you very much for joining in. And if you have any questions for me, I will put my direct mobile number, 98102443330. This is my direct mobile number. So you can WhatsApp me, send me a little note. And if the note I read as meaningful, I will come back to you, or I'll put some consultant of mine, which is senior, available across India. We have 94 cities operations, and they're all great consultants, very senior guys working at Franchise India. Our direct teams are available all over India. So I'll put somebody senior enough to really talk to you, spend maybe 30 minutes with you to understand what your goals are and how you should select the right franchise or business. And anytime you want any other information on particular brands, please reach out to us. So thank you very much. Enjoy your Sunday.